All right, guys, here we go. This is, what bracket is this, Steve? This is bracket D of Mech Mania Mondays, Herzog Zwei tribute, and it will be between the blue player on the left side, Blaz6 in the Police Striker, and the red player on the right side, FriskyCow in the Classic Striker, both going Lexi as per the rules, and this will be on Twin Peaks normal standard moneymaker builds going down for both players, as it is pretty much the choice socket for the socket unit choice in this tournament right now.
That it was, and I was really interested to see, was everyone going to focus on the moneymakers, or was maybe somebody actually going to bring along, now that levels have become a little bit more important again, was someone going to focus on the levelers or the lunchbox, which would have made Minx's life so much easier in that last match, or was anyone just going to focus on the moneymakers as usual, which is pretty much what we are seeing.
Yeah, I mean, moneymakers have been the dominating socket unit since forever, and unless certain things change, certain drastic things change, then it probably won't, change. That probably won't go away so anytime soon. As James has posted, there might be, combination moneymaker generators or different, many combination socket type of units upcoming, forthcoming. So definitely excited to see what that might do to the game.
And that is what's just so exciting about Air Mech in general, especially if you really haven't been overly involved with this game before. The developers have made it quite clear that they have no intentions of ever making an Air Mech 2, that they just want to keep focusing on this game and just keep making it the best that it can be. And if that means they have to rewrite half the engine code or spend weeks to develop a new system, that they will do that before they just say, okay, Air Mech is done and now it's time for Air Mech 2. So for those of you that are really interested in the game and are hesitant to get involved for one reason or another, don't be, because what you see is what we'll always have as far as this game goes.
Yeah, and as far as this specific game goes, what's happening right now is both players have gone for the bottom. And, Blaze going pretty much typical meta style right now with the complete tank spam. FriskyCow, the very, very interesting set of units here, mixing everything that pretty much is in the loadout in terms of anything that can attack ground stuff except for turrets, which does definitely make sense.
Which does, and I wasn't expecting too many turrets to come out, but in order to try to keep it to really tribute our Herzog Zwei tribute tournament here, I felt that it still had to be there just because.
Oh yeah, definitely makes sense. And FriskyCow going for the harass, and Blaze not picking up the moneymaker, and Frisky does get the kill.
That he does. He gets one of those moneymakers down. 1,400 credits and about 10 seconds to rebuild, so when you do lose one, it can really it can set you back both as far as not just your credits, but your time.
Yeah, definitely. And, you have to keep in mind to rebuild those moneymakers, so it's just such a productive thing to do at this point, just because the game is so credit centric and kind of revolves around keeping your moneymakers and producing as much money as you possibly can for the most part. Yeah, it's really a really productive move to do. And FriskyCow now moving out with mostly zippers and one jackal.
Oh, they got caught. Oh, there we go. He uses those basically as cannon fodder to initially go into that single line, distract all those longhorns, so that way he can go ahead and send his heavier units behind them. And all the turrets are out of position, and they're taking so much longer to turn around. I mean, the push won't be successful, but it definitely gave his units the extra time that they needed to do as much damage as possible.
Yeah, the timing could have been better for sure. Frisky kind of moved out the zippers and the tanks a little bit too spaced out. Now he is going to have to deal with a huge tank line. Not even a line, just a big tank clump coming right at him. And it's probably not going to be very good news for FriskyCow at this point.
Not unless he just is fortunate enough that maybe Blaze winds up dying. Oh, that level up right at the time that Frisky needed it, but unfortunately Outpost completely out of energy, not really able to provide Frisky with the support that he needs, and it gives Blaze a little window of opportunity here to potentially secure the entire bottom lane.
Yeah, and at this point it's like 29 upkeep to 18 on Frisky's side, and Blaze is definitely going to be able to take this outpost under his control eventually. There are way too many tanks here for FriskyCow to overwhelm. I would maybe have liked to seen a mass jackal push or something like that over here, so maybe he could use his sword effectively, but Blaze just has way too much down here.
Oh!
And FriskyCow goes down.
He tried. He was trying to shoot that missile down. When missiles are coming in, you do have the a percent chance to actually shoot them down so they don't damage you. But fortunately, the dice did not roll in Frisky's favor there, and he did go down. And Blaz has a few more tanks coming in now to really try to get a foothold on here.
Yeah, and you know, Frisky just coming with soldiers. Only, you know, because of the outpost difference, because of the current state of snowballing, still pretty high. Frisky is pretty behind in the credits as well. He's trying to make as many tanks as he possibly can, but it's still dramatically outnumbered by Blaz.
That it is, but Frisky still, at least at the moment, has the moneymaker advantage. Blaz never did replace those moneymakers that were initially destroyed long ago, but now Frisky's showing us exactly what we were talking about before. The distance on the map from one outpost to another is so short that he can easily leapfrog these tanks right up to the other outposts. And if he's successful with this could potentially turn the entire tide of his battle.
He has been able to neutralize that center close. He has enough soldiers to take it under his control, dropping a tank for distraction at the fort and dropping another one at the fort. This will go down neutral if he doesn't drop anything in defense, but it already has 3 tanks right at the corner.
I don't think he was even worried about defending it. I think he just wanted it strictly as a launching platform.
Yeah, and it does have a couple more zippers. Oh, the zippers are not focusing on the outpost. They are focusing right on the moneymaker. FriskyCow does get a little bit of damage off with those Longhorn, but this is pretty much a finished attack right now, and Frisky has to go back to square one.
That he does. It was a great opportunity, just unfortunately he did not get quite the amount of damage that he was hoping for, but at least it gave him a little opportunity to try to take out, and my gosh, his health was so low. Huge opportunity for Blaz to actually shoot and take him down and kill him, and unfortunately that was a missed chance right there.
Yeah, I mean, it does take trained eyes to see that life, especially in the middle of doing all that you are actually doing. FriskyCow now setting up a defense against Blaz's incoming tanks, but it will very likely not be enough because Blaz has more than double the tank numbers at this point, and it's getting really, really dangerous for FriskyCow close to his fort.
It is definitely getting close, but I would say that Frisky, unless something terribly goes wrong for him right now, he should be able to still walk away with this with only actually maybe minimal damage.
Yeah, that's very, very likely. Blaz is actually floating quite a lot of credits, 36,000 in this queue right now. He should probably just max out his queue with Longhorn at this point.
That would be probably the best overall plan for him to do, but for some reason he's only building 3 to 4 at a time. He's not even maxing out his queue in the first place. And yeah, as we take a look here, FriskyCow really did only take minimal damage from something that should have potentially been a lot more dangerous and damaging had it been maybe a little bit more macroed and a little bit heavier of a push.
Yeah, I mean, Blaz kind of rushed out hastily, and now he is getting counter-pushed by FriskyCow's tanks, and is actually taking quite a lot of damage just because Frisky is standing and slashing at all these Longhorn, drawing the fire away, and Blaz is actually getting pushed back.
That he is, and that's exactly what FriskyCow needed to happen, and Blaz devoted almost everything to just taking over these outposts and then pushing onto the main base that he really, because he's been floating so many credits for all this time, he really doesn't have a whole lot as far as units on the battlefield go now.
Yeah, he has been able to take back his bottom, but another tank push coming out by Blaz. It's a full queue of pushes, and at this point, Frisky doesn't really have anything to defend against this.
No, he doesn't, and he doesn't even have, he only had soldiers in the build queue to try to hold on to this outpost a little bit longer, but he is getting, even though Blaz was trying to get some spread outs going, FriskyCow is just really handling this pressure quite well, and is, I think he's going to come out on top from this.
Yeah, Blaz's tank formation is really, really falling victim to the effect of the Striker Sword and the AoE because it's, you know, everything's all packed together. More tanks coming down by FriskyCow. He might actually be able to start making a comeback here. Already has hit level 8, so does have his ultimate ability. Blaz has only spent 1 point in the sword, if you take a look at that right now, and that's it. No more ability upgrades. Finishes off Blaz on the way out there, FriskyCow did, and now it's starting to, it's 22 to 22. He's making his way back up.
That he is, and that really, again, goes to show that, you know, if you really try to focus, you don't just get overwhelmed. You can really turn these matches around for people that have played this game and say that it's impossible that once something goes bad in your direction that there's no way to come back from it. FriskyCow right now is showing us that that is anything but the truth.
Yeah, you just have to pretty much, you know, do a combination of, you know, predict what your opponent's going to do, take advantage of his mistakes, and see what kinds of moves you can actually make. And that's pretty much what FriskyCow has done. Blaz, did a little bit of rushing when he was pushing out, and FriskyCow was able to take advantage of that, and Blaz did pay the price. He's losing his bottom left outpost, and it's at this point, FriskyCow is almost double his upkeep.
That he is, and this entire bottom lane is now turning completely red. And really, I mean, other than things that Blaz will be able to build in his inventory, which now, since he's depleted so much of his credits on all these small pushes rather than gathering up a large force, it's going to be really hard for him to try to hold on to any more ground if FriskyCow decides to amass even a few units and push out.
Yeah, and it's pretty much just, and at this point, the credit income difference is pretty large. FriskyCow didn't rebuild any of the moneymakers he had at his fort, which is a little funny to see, but Blaz pretty much has well, he has two, and FriskyCow has one. It's kind of not really ideal, but at this point, FriskyCow pushing up to Blaz's outpost and slashing away at those tanks.
Showing us the real amazing ability of that area effect damage that power sword can do, and why it is worth, in fact, for those of you that are maybe watching that don't always buy upgrades for your mech, why it really can truly make the difference between a victory or defeat here. FriskyCow's striker is just so much more effective in battle right now than Blaz's is. Blaz just doesn't have the abilities that he needs to keep up with what FriskyCow can put out.
Yeah, now moving out to Blaz's outpost, and this looks like it's going to spell the beginning of the end for Blaz at this point. And as opposed to Blaz's push earlier, FriskyCow's is actually successful, has been able to neutralize that outpost, going to get us around, and Blaz is getting finished off by FriskyCow in that retreat.
Yeah, Frisky had great control there. He had his unit shooting down on the bottom. He was dominating the skies. There really was just no place that Blaz could even go to try to get out of that one way or the other.
Yeah, and FriskyCow, that predictive transform, he was able to get up pretty much at the exact same time as Blaz finishing off in the air.
And we do now have a little bit of a base push coming in, and Blaz goes down and dies at a most inopportune moment. He does have, there we go. He is, he's actually building Seekers, which may not be necessarily the best choice for him. I don't know about you, but I think it would have been a little bit better to maybe actually use just buyback and get down in there yourself and start swinging that sword rather than putting down just anti-mech protection.
Yeah, to be honest, anything but Seekers was probably the best decision, but at this point, Frisky has way too many tanks, and that's going to be it.
That it is. I'm just waiting for... There's the last bit of damage coming in. It's like damage just held up for a second. So there we go, guys. That is Game D and the end of the preliminaries of tonight's Herzog Zwei Tribute 1v1 tournament. Hosted by Steve, co-casted by RUI, presented to you by OPTV Live. Stay tuned for our semifinals.